back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 134. I can confirm I am back. I had Alan and Chris show at the wheel last week, and we've had no complaints, and we're still on YouTube. So fair play to you for not getting us cancelled in my absence. I am Paul. I am, of course, joined by Alan. No Chris show this week. He is, well, I suppose he just missed me so much last week. He just couldn't face the idea that I might not be here again. So here I am.
Rumours are he didn't come home from Scotland. That's the rumour circulating.
It's very believable. He barely made it out of Germany the last time we went last year for the Champions League games. So Chris doesn't travel well. He's like a pint of Guinness. He just doesn't travel well. Mind you, I don't know if anybody finds him too tasty on this side of the world either. But we'll let the listeners decide. Before we kick off, happy birthday to Alan's now 1-year-old daughter, Ava, the youngest Irish mag out there.
Well, I wouldn't say that anymore now. There's been a few added into the group, let's be honest with the pictures. But yeah, she's probably not prominent because I keep sticking her online. So
did you get her something Newcastle related for her birthday?
No, because they don't do the jersey in her size yet. So there's nothing really to get her.
I see.
Yeah, she's still in them baby grow type jerseys, and they don't start doing the kits until 3 to 4, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm fairly sure, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure that Krisho also has a Newcastle United like onesie or adult sized baby grow.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
It does sound.
He acts like a baby half the time, to be fair. And other announcements to make. We are very proud and thankful to our podcast sponsors for the new season ahead. We are currently sponsored by, well, you may be familiar with them, FSH Training Limited, frontline paramedics and firefighters, delivering first aid, fire safety, manual handling, and patient handling training. Expert trainers for all business environments, including schools and nursing homes. Go to fshtraining.ie for more information there. And our own friend of the pod, Jonathan, aka JH Fitness, who is an Irish-based online coaching business specializing in sustainable fat loss, lifestyle change, long-term health for real-world men and women. Check out his Instagram, which is instagram.com/Jonathan. That's JONATHON_Hickey, who is just fresh. Is he finished his adventure?
He is finished. Yes, he is finished. If he's not, there's something seriously wrong. Recycle from Limerick to Newcastle. Mental
efforts.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And he even cycled through Middlesbrough and Sunderland,
and lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, the
I
Wild
find it hard
West.
enough to fly over. Never mind, I having to get up early and get the bus to Dublin from Galway and then fly over. I find that challenging. So, fair play to Jonathan for cycling all the way over. That's pretty impressive. We are also always on the hunt for new sponsors as well, for the podcast, for the Irish Mags, for the charity cups, everything that we do. If you are interested, contact details are below in the description, including our email address, website, the whole lot. So don't hesitate to get in touch if you'd like to get involved. It's always appreciated. And sometimes you might be able to sponsor the pod when Krisho's not here, when we get more viewers. That's just how it works. Yeah. Cheers, Krisho. He'll love to hear that.
Oh, yes. He will.
Alan, we'll have to kick off. At the time, on the day of recording, 10 days from the opening league game of the season against Liverpool. That's a little bit terrifying for where we are now. There has been a bit of a feel-good factor, obviously, since new managers come in, which is only, a week ago. Matthias Jaisla experienced his first defeat as Newcastle manager, having won the opening game against Valencia just about. Things all came crashing back down to reality against Everton up in Murrayfield in Edinburgh. Krisho was there, as we said. We don't know if he's back or what part of the world he's in. And we're going to talk a lot now about the remainder of the transfer window, because we are entering a mixture of crucial showdown, forward/back/ shit your pants squeaky bum time. Because, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems very quiet out there. And as things stand, the only concrete name we're linked with, where apparently personal terms have been agreed with, Benfica right back Amar Dedic, the Bosnia and Herzegovina international, 23 years old. But he started for Benfica tonight in the Europa Conference League qualifiers, or Europa League qualifiers, whichever it was. I think it was Europa.
They just asked him to play for fitness.
That's a risky business.
It's very risky.
He hasn't put on a Newcastle United kit yet, but once you do, you tend to just get injured more than anyone else. So by all accounts, he not only came through unscathed, but seemingly he played quite well from what you saw.
I've just been quickly glanced on Twitter, and he hit the post, created 3 chances, was one of the better players on the pitch in a 1-1 draw. So it's not a bad start if he is coming to us. So all signs are positive.
Definitely positive, and definitely a player we need. I was looking into him earlier, particularly looking at. I mean, I'm not one to go into look at all the YouTube reels, especially for a right back. But I was just curious to see what type of positions he's taken up at Benfica.
Yeah.
Transfer Market is a really good website for when you can break down their entire season stats, but it actually tells you what position they've played in every game of the season. Let's say last season he played 99% of all his games at right back. He played 1 game at left back, a couple of times on the wing. But I think it's safe to say this fella is a right back.
Yes.
And as things stand, Al, is it a fair statement to say right back is our biggest position of need at the moment, or has the game against Everton changed your mind on that?
No, we absolutely need a right back. Look, Leo Shahar he looks like a good player. You can't rely on him for the season, unfortunately. Tino Livramento is absolutely astounding on his day, but he's made a Weetabix. So, like,
we haven't seen his day in a while, have we?
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, as much as we want to say that Tino is our starting fullback or right back, I think Dedic is going to be our starting fullback, with Tino being as if Hall is injured, he can go in left back, or if Dedic is having to play left back, he can go in at right back. I don't think Liverman is going to start too much this season, purely because we can't rely on him fitness-wise.
Well, he's not even going to be back for Liverpool. I think he probably won't be back for a few of the opening games. I think we'll do well to see him play a game, maybe get on the field, but before the first international break, to be honest.
Yeah.
So when you bring that into account, Leo Shahar is the only option at right back currently, bar like Lewis Miley, who himself is also injured.
Yes.
We don't want to talk about Jacob Murphy playing right back because there's just absolutely no need for that.
No.
It is arguably our biggest position of need. There's talks of a £30 million bid that we don't believe has been agreed. Personal terms, as we said. Fabrizio Romano was tweeting today saying the club have agreed personal terms. We've been there before, especially when they're verbally agreed. Yeah. Verbal personal terms are about as useful as Chris was saying he'll be here on a podcast on a Thursday. It says me, who missed last week. But yeah, like you always start to get a little bit. Do you know what it is, Al, for me? As soon as Romano these days starts tweeting about it, you just feel it's like you just feel a bit dirty or something. You just feel like, no, this transfer is now tainted with the greasiness of the operation that is like the not the agents, let's say, but those journalists on ITKs at the top.
I always feel when Romano tweets, he's tweeting to other clubs going, look, you can sign this guy.
or the agent or the club like Benfica or a Dedic's agent is like, right, he'll go there unless something better comes along.
Yeah.
You know, here's 10, 20 grand. Give it an old bump out there.
The other side of it is, though, he has played for Isla for 2 different clubs. He was at Liefering and Salzburg with him. So I do think this is it's not a done deal until he's holding the jersey outside St James's Park. But it's all signs are looking good so far in my eyes for this one, because he has played the manager previously, and the other side of that is he can kind of just click straight into the Isla system because he'll know what he's doing. So that is another positive. But yeah,
you can't help but feel we're gonna have to we're gonna overpay here, no matter what way you look at it, because they're gonna know we're desperate. They know we have cash. They now know that he's played with that manager, therefore that manager clearly wants him. We need him. The ball is in their court, or more so, like they hold the cards in terms of the bargaining and negotiations. So whatever we're bidding, we're going to end up paying about 5 to 10 million, probably more than that. And we're going to have to swallow it because we've let things get this far in the window. We thought we were moving early in the window. We did move early in the window on a number of young players, but we then sold like some of our key players. And between that and letting Trippier go, and you know, we are exposed here in the transfer window. Yeah. And as we mentioned, now there's only 10 days left, and clubs now know that we're getting desperate and antsy. The only real positive, before we start talking about the places that we're recruiting for in terms of on the pitch, and we're going to also speculate some names, Alan. We're going to put our cards on the table and put our heads on the table to have a guess at who we think will sign. But yeah, we're not in a strong position now when it comes to bidding. But all I hope is that there's a lot happening under the hood.
Yeah.
When we signed Sean Sturr, when we signed Toure, when we signed Bamba, they all happened very quick. It wasn't this build up like in the past. We were 2.5 years going after Malik Chow. We were 2 years going after Anthony Langa. We were about 4 years going after Trafford.
Look at the Munoz deal.
Yeah,
the Munoz deal from this summer is it was too protracted in the media, and we just it
and Manzambi. Manzambi was another one. Like 6 weeks we were talking about Manzambi. It's hard to remember that because the World Cup went on for so long. The World Cup was 6 weeks long, but it's just when these things go on too long, it just doesn't work out very well.
No.
But then the players that we have signed successfully have come out of nowhere, and you can only hope that that's what's happening now. We are going to have to spend regardless, in terms of like not spend but overspend a little bit, and we're just going to have to swallow that. And to that extent, have we learned a lot from last season? Maybe not, but there is still. We have to remember there is only 10 days until Liverpool, which makes me antsy as hell.
Yes,
but there's still a good bones of 3 weeks until the end of the transfer window. So if we get to a week before the window and we still haven't filled some key positions, I think then that's when things kind of start to get a bit wobbly.
Issues, I think it was Mark Douglas who said today we're close to signing 2, but I don't know who it was, but I read a story and it was a whole load of puff piece, if you know what I mean. There was no real info in the story, but we're close to 2, and I'm going, where do you pull on this from, unfortunately? But
we can be close to 2. We've been close to 2 on how many occasions? We've been close to everyone in the past and not signed them. So close to could be good conversations, healthy conversations, players showing an interest, and then another club comes in and bamboozles the whole thing. Like you said, until something is done outside the stadium, that there's a jersey being held, or we can see a little photo of him coming into the training ground, or that photo that gets taken by however these lads get up to the rafters of St. James's Park and they take like the most grainy, pixelated photo of a player walking out, and half the time you don't know who it is. But until then, it's going to be very hard to speculate. But that's exactly what we're going to do, Alan, because you and me, we're going to speculate on between now and Liverpool, let's say in particular, and we can probably stretch to the end of the window. We're not just going to talk about the roles we think that we will fill in terms of signings, but we're going to chance a few names because I think it's more fun, more interesting. One can dream, but I think now, particularly where we are, where we've signed all these young players, the unknown players, let's say, are probably done. We need some names in now. I think that's the only way that it'll restore some confidence. And to be honest, we need some established players who can come in and impact this first 11. We don't really need any players that have potential.
No,
or that can be on the fringes. We need people to come in, and we need people to come in now, particularly in some key areas. We mentioned right back being the priority for sure, and let's go with the assumption that Dedic is the man there.
Yes.
Do you see us sign? So when I described to you us signing a first team strong player, do you see us signing any other defenders? Bearing in mind our own Alex Murphy has just gone on loan to Kaiserslautern. Good luck to him from everyone at the Irish Mags.
Absolutely.
He needs a full season.
They're
a team on the up, and I think that loan move could be good for him. It may lead to a permanent in some shape or form, but they've been on the rise. They might even be hoping for promotion. So fair play to him. But do you think another defender is on the cards in terms of a priority?
A starting defender, no, because Lewis Hall won't be leaving. So we'll bring in Dedic, and we'll bring in maybe another centre half who can play left back.
We have one or two of those already. One in particular that nobody wants to see play left back, obviously. And you wouldn't really want to see Botman out there on top of Burnley. You wouldn't want to see either of them.
God, no.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we don't have a left back in mind, unless the thought process is Tino Livramento. If he's not going to start at right back, he's a fine option at left back, as we've seen in the past. And Dedic
that's
also
the other side of it. Yeah, so we have potentially 3 left backs, but now in our luck, the 3 of them will all get injured in the same week. So it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that we go out and get a left back. But if we do get one, it will be probably someone young or someone towards the end of their career that can come in for a season or 2 and do a job, because we seriously need some leaders in the group as well.
Yeah. Right. Let me throw one at you before we move on to other places. Is it, you mentioned the phrase beyond the realms of possibility. Is it beyond the realms of possibility that Lewis Hall moves before the window closes? Do you think it's definitely not happening?
Unless Man United offer silly money, and I'm talking 80-90 million pound here. Like, it just will not happen.
Do you not I'm play devil's advocate here. I don't want Lewis Hall to go anywhere. I think I genuinely was talking to someone today about this, and I think he's the best player at the club now, as things stand.
Yeah, easy.
Which is a big statement to make all of a sudden. I would be amazed if Man United came in and offered 70 million, that our board would turn that down. Just looking at the fees that they've been accepting and just looking at the money that's been coming in, I actually I think they would find it hard to say no. I don't like. There's no reason why they should say yes, but I just think they're starting to like this money coming in.
We do have to become better sellers, as we've been saying the whole time. But we can't sell everyone at one time
agree.
and then go, oh, we can't do it again next year. So like, I'm not saying Lewis Hall will play the rest of his career at Newcastle, but we have to keep someone to sell next year or the year after or the year after.
Absolutely do. I just have this fear. I'm starting to have this. I'm starting to get a bit cynical in my old age, seeing as I am approaching the 40 mark, as you well know. That as much as we've always been like, oh yeah, the ownership have always wanted to invest and they're pumping money in, they bought the club to make money. And if you boil it down to just on paper money and accounts, they spent what on Lewis Hall? 35?
Yes.
Ish. So doubling in your money, you buying an asset, and then 3 years later, you're doubling your money. We've done it with Bruno. We've done it with Gordon. We've done it with Tonali. We've done it with Isak. These are all double your money players.
Yes.
They might be getting a fondness for the concept of, well, let's just keep doubling our money here.
That's short-term gains in their eyes.
It is.
They want to be trebling their money on the club. So they want to sell the club for £1 billion is what they ideally want to do. And they don't do that by asset stripping. And they're not doing that. Like we did just go out and sign a 50 million winger. Like we've signed like Sean Stewart was 25 million. If he is not worth 40 million by the end of the season, there's something seriously wrong.
I agree. Jeez, that was loud. Sorry, a big motorbike just flew past. I have the window open because we're in a mini heat wave here in Ireland, and I just played 90 minutes of a match. I'm roasting after it. Yeah, look, I agree. I totally agree with the sentiment. Everything you're saying makes sense. I'm just starting to lose a little bit of faith in the top level, saying this money coming in, this doubling our money on players is tasty. And if we, when we're not going to be in strong positions for trying to buy players, we're in a strong position that we don't have to sell. That if you can pay, Tottenham this evening, just when I got home, Tottenham were throwing in 85 million for Savinho. Now, Savinho looks like a great player and he's got great potential and blah, blah, but he hasn't kicked loads of ball for Man City. He struggled to really get close to that Man City team in a team that before they bought Semenyo didn't really have a right winger.
No.
And he still couldn't.
He did score one of the greatest goals I've ever seen at St James's Park last season, though. That was amazing. Of course he did. Doan was fired and just hit him and went into the back of the net.
That is what happens when you play Newcastle. Like you see Aaron Wan-Bissaka, whose only 2 career goals in his life both came against Newcastle for 2 different clubs.
Naturally.
Yeah.
No, on Hall, I don't see Hall leaving. It's okay. Why would they sell him now when next year, if he has another good season, he could be worth 90 million?
Because they might look at it and go, well, he could get injured again, or he might not play well, or we might finish very low down the table and he might demand to leave. We could get relegated. Hate to say it. And then suddenly he's not worth half as much. I'm just being devil's advocate, but also there's a bit of cynicism in me to go, if they are in this transition period and for them an okay finish in the league would be mid-table and we are rebuilding, it just wouldn't surprise me if that 70-75 million bid came in that they'd go, yeah, fine.
I don't think Man United bid that. It's the other side of it. They need too many players to be dropping that money on a player as well.
They do, but they have the cash, right? And, Lewis Hall, and again, the other part of this is he hasn't signed a new contract. He's among one of the lower paid first team players. And we both just agreed he's arguably the best player at the club currently. I think he's on about 40 grand a week. Yeah. Joe Linton's on more than 3 times that.
You know my stance on Joe Linton. I'm not going down there. He should.
Fair point.
Ashworth was right. He should never have gotten that new contract on 120 grand a week because it's a noose around our neck now where Hall can say, how is he on that money? And you go. And
he hasn't signed a contract and seemingly it's been offered. It would have to be offered, right? So look, only time will tell, but I'm still, until that window is closed and slams shut, as they say, I would still be a bit fearful that something could happen here. And it doesn't only have to be Man United. Like Man City, for me, are someone you could keep an eye on there. Like they have Ryan Aït-Nouri. I don't think Pep. I don't think Pep really loved him. Don't know what Maresca's going to think of him. Obviously, Gvardiol is there. I think he's a better centre back. If I'm being honest, even though he is a fantastic player, also scored against Newcastle from left back. And then they're falling back to Nico O'Reilly. So, like, it's not only Manchester United really when you think about it. But yeah, like I said, I'd be wary here, but I absolutely don't want to go because I just think it would be yet another, like, it would be the ultimate nail in the ultimate coffin to go. Yeah, look, we're not who we were, and we're not. No, like we're absolute sellers of players.
It would mean we're a mid-table side. That's what that'd be. Yeah, like at the very best, like if not relegation fire. But that's why I can't see it happening this year.
Yeah, and also then the other problem here is we don't seem to be timing our sale. The timing of our sales aren't great in terms of. It's not like we have these ready-made replacements. Other clubs seem to be far better at going, right, we're going to sell him, but we'll sell him on our terms and our timeline once we get the right player in. And it's not about like for like, but it's about having, having that assurance that, okay, if we sell Bruno, if we sell Tonali, if we sell Gordon, that we know this is the replacement. Now, Toure may be the replacement in the longer term. Is he the replacement now? Not necessarily. But particularly with Bruno and Tonali, like Sean Sturr and Bamba have come in.
They're not replacements.
With the combined age of the same age as Fabian Schär. They're not necessarily replacements. It's way too much to put on them. And that's a good way to move up to the midfield area of the pitch for us, Al. And this is where we might start to speculate not only what we're going to sign, but who we might sign in these areas.
Yeah.
I'd go so far as to say we need 2 midfielders.
We absolutely need 2 midfielders.
We need someone who's going to run the game and dictate the tempo of a game and carry us when we need to. Like, again, Bruno did that. We don't want someone who's just going to be like for Bruno. That doesn't exist. But we need someone who can grab that game and grab the team by the scruff of the neck and actually control and dictate it when we need to and have a real influence in the middle of the park. Joe Linton is not that. Ramsey is not that. Miley is not that. And I think we're really missing someone there. And for me, I also really think we need someone, call it a 10, call it a cam, call it an AMC, an attacking midfielder. We need someone that is comfortable in these half spaces, moving across the attacking midfield strata to connect and get the ball, because Nick Voltemati isn't the answer here. I'm sorry, but he's not. He isn't that player that floats around, that, a very mobile player that wants to move around getting the ball, has this vision to play these, really good through ball passes, playing out to the channels, or is just going to ping shot on goal. For me, Voltemati is a striker. I'm done with any other notion that he's not. At best, he's a second striker.
Yeah.
Right? Where he's playing just off a striker, but that doesn't mean he's in receiving ball to feet, in between the halfway line and the box. Like, that I just don't see that working. So I really think we need 2 players in that sense. And maybe the more attacking player that we would go after is somebody who could go and hang out on the left or the right when needed. And if you look at somebody like, if you're looking at what type of player that is, and I hate the guy, but he typifies that type of role, Phil Foden. Phil Foden can kind of play anywhere. I think he's a little rat bastard, and I hate that.
He is class, though.
Yeah, but he's that player, and we're not going to sign Phil Foden or anyone probably as close to Phil Foden. But that player who's just so comfortable to roam around and float around, solves so many problems, is someone that the team will look to give the ball to, is someone that wants the ball to feet and is always going to be showing up for it. And ultimately, if you're the striker, you want to go, right, I'm delighted I'm playing with this fella. Yeah. Morgan Rogers is probably another good example, right? Like, we know where his best position is, but he can slot in anywhere. Eze is another example. I think we need that type of player. And
yes.
That's where we are. Anything different, if we stick with midfield before we kind of go forwards or front, anything you feel a bit different on in terms of profiling?
No, I still think we've been needing it for 3-4 seasons now. Hopefully Bamba will turn into it, but we need someone who's a bit more of a destroyer. I do see us playing more of a 4-2-3-1 this year. So 2 lads who can sit there and dictate the game, as you've been saying, but someone who could stick their foot in. I know nobody was happy with the Højbjerg links, but he would have done a serious job. And let me tell you, he would have taught Bamba what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And it would have been the perfect person to have beside him. I still don't think those links are totally dead. I did see they were coming back a little bit today. But I don't know, but yeah, we definitely need a 10. We definitely need another central midfielder or a 6 or an 8, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Valdemar definitely isn't the answer. I have been very disappointed in him in pre-season so far. I thought with Gisela coming in, it might be the rocket up his arse to kind of.
It still might. Like Gisela's been here for. I know they've had some friendlies and they've rotated teams and it's all over the shop. But he's only been here a week and a half. Or whatever.
But he was brutal in both friendlies. Like he's running around the pitch like he has a tugboat on his back. Like it's just. I really thought
his demeanor doesn't help either because he always looks like he's a bit like meh. But we're clearly far from getting the best out of this player.
Yes,
that's just the long and the short of it.
Unfortunately, I can see Valdemar back in Germany next season for 40 million.
Look, if we got the only way that happens, right? And again, you want him to thrive at Newcastle, of course we all do. He's going to need to have a decent season for that to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So him scoring 2 or 3 goals over the course of 6 months is not going to get anyone anywhere. So we either got to go for it or we don't. And you know, if Eddie Howe was still there, you'd really fear for him. With Gisela, you know, we all think he's going to do things differently. We don't know yet. It's been 2 friendlies of kind of mess and rotated teams and players in, players out. We need to see how he's going to actually deploy this. We don't know what Gisela is going to think of Asula. He probably likes what he's seen from Wissa so far.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that actually works. Let's get ourselves in trouble. Let's get some names out there, Alan, right? And there's an element of dream signings, but we can blend dreams and reality a little bit like Father Dougal. But in terms of, let's start with that kind of more, I don't want to say a defensive midfielder, but obviously there's the word destroyer, but somebody who is going to be more inclined to sit and dictate the game. And that means the ball isn't, you know, he's what's the phrase I'm looking for? He's looking ahead.
Yeah.
Ball at his feet. I can't remember the exact phrase I'm looking for, but basically facing forward. He wants the game to be in front of him. And for me, that he plays as a deeper midfielder. Maybe Bamba gets more involved in the hard work and the sitting and the tackling and the just, you know, staying back all the time. But someone who can dictate that game from deep, somebody who can come in and just give a lot more calm and composure in the middle and just bring more players into the game around him, as well as chipping in defensively, but, you know, has the ability to get more involved in progressive play. That's a lot of words and football terminology. I have a player in mind who I won't say I've seen him loads live, but I have seen him play quite a bit at international level as well. And I'm football managing her here because he is of the Red Bull stable and he has played under Gisela at Salzburg and he's currently at Leipzig. And it's Austrian Nicholas Seewald.
Seewald, yes.
Very, very much a defensive midfielder. Won't have a whole lot of goal contributions, goals, assists and all that. But is, for me, one of these players that he can slot in. He's basically, he can do a 6, he can do an 8. Strong in the tackle, robust, you know, playing in that Austria side under Ralph Ragnick in the past, playing in the Red Bull system. And to me, looks usually available in terms of not overly injury prone. It's not a name that's going to get us very excited, but I feel like this is an established player playing at RB Leipzig that would come in and go, right, he should start. And for me, it's also within range of a player we could sign.
Would be a superb signing. Let's be like, he would, as I said, slot straight into the team, starts week in, week out, and is probably exactly what we need. So we'd love it. Will it happen?
We would love it.
Yes.
Again, look, whether it's realistic or not. And what would your thoughts be? I mean, we have been linked with lots of people in this role. Højbjerg obviously was the most recent. What would your thoughts be then if I was to offer it to you? So, right, Alan, go for a signing there. Who are we going for?
It'd be a toss-up between 2 for the central midfield role. It would either be Hugo Larsson from Eintracht Frankfurt.
Oh, tasty.
Yes. Or if we can go real dream signing, Mark Casado from Barcelona.
Whoa. I heard they are trying to offload him in terms of the way
but I did hear they want 65 million quid for him. So that's a very expensive deal.
That's very ambitious.
He just looks unbelievable. I think it was the game against Real Madrid last year where he was, I think he was only 18 at the time. was brought on just to start the second half. And he bossed the midfield. And I'm going, how are you doing this? You're a baby. Like, he is also very, very young. So it's not really fitting what we need. But if you're good enough, you're old enough, as they say. But he would be sensational to sign. Now, I don't think he's even been linked loosely. But like,
no, I don't think so. No, but like, you have to be ambitious here.
Yeah,
I like the Hugo Larsson one. My only thing there was like that's another link that's been out there for ages.
Yeah.
So like, if we've not signed him yet, why have we not signed him yet? Because it's not like waiting gets us a better price, I think, anyway. Because the longer you wait, the more desperate you look. So I think Hugo Larsson he's class. I have seen him play at Frankfurt, right?
Yes, Frankfurt. Yeah.
I'm always getting confused because you've then Stiller, who's at Stuttgart, no?
Stuttgart, yes.
And that's where you get confused. Stuttgart and Frankfurt will always confuse me. And I've been to Frankfurt, so look, that's my own problems. The Furhold link is another one that's kind of gone dead, but the price tag seems to be a big off-putter there as well.
Yeah, and seemingly Porto are just adamant that they will not let him go for any less than the 80 million euros they want, which is, look, he is going to be absolutely brilliant, but I just can't see it happening.
Well, I mean, to put yourself in Porto's shoes, Enzo Fernandez left Benfica for 105 million or whatever it was. You know, you're looking at Fernandez coming from, granted, a relegated team, but a championship team for 85 million. You know, they're looking at going, this guy's as good as those guys. Like, so you can kind of see why.
They're dead right, to be fair.
The other thing is, you know, Champions League football at Porto, we can't offer that to Furholt. I mean, if you're him, you're hanging on to see if anyone else is coming in for you, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because it seems to be a midfielder's market at the moment. Okay, so Furholt is a name. Hugo Larsson is a name. Casado is a very ambitious name. And obviously, I've just put in Nicholas Seiwald there. That's Seiwald if anyone wants to look him up. But it's just, to me, that's a logical one. I think on a fee level, you're probably looking at maybe 50 million. We have that, lads. Like maybe 40 to 50, but we're always going to have a bit of extra tax because we have cash and we are desperate. But he was at Liefering, he was at Salzburg. Jaisa is going to know him well. It just makes sense to bring in a player the manager can trust and knows what he's going to get out of him, as far as I'm concerned. But I've probably gone overboard now because I also want another one from RB Leipzig while I'm at it. And that's, you're probably going to guess, but I want Ouedraogo. Asano Ouedraogo. Ouedraogo, German international. Again, he's young, right? But this is this player would be, this guy would get the crowd on his feet. This guy is a technician. This guy is flair. This guy is just crack. I was looking at his season last season because he started really well last season and he got himself into the Germany side. And then he got an injury. Like he did his knee, I think, and he was out for about 2 months. He didn't really kind of come back as strong as he was. So like in the first kind of 10 games, he had 3 goals and 3 assists. Bearing in mind, he's 20 now, so he was probably 19 in Red Bull Leipzig. Then he was out injured and he came back. He only scored 1 goal, but like, you know, by the time he got up to playing full 90 minutes, the season was over. I think it's another name that's floated around before. Might be unrealistic. This guy might have his sights on much bigger clubs and better clubs, let's be fair. But even if there was a chance that you could snap for him, now this isn't necessarily a player that Jaisla has managed or anything like that. He was signed for Leipzig from Schalke, but he's a player that Jaisla is going to know who he is very well. He's played for Germany, and I just like bring the 2 of them in.
Yeah,
try and get the 2 of them in for 100 to 120. That's your midfield sorted for the next 5 years in those roles, especially if you're shifting to a 4-2-3-1.
Or until Man City come in and offer you 175 million for one of them in 3 seasons.
Well, Krisho's not here. Why are you bringing me down?
Absolutely. Dear. Like Ouedraogo would be a sensational signing. Like the highlight reels alone on YouTube are just mental to watch. Like he is class.
Like I said to you, you know, there's the fans element, right? If I'm in the stadium, if I'm in St. James's Park and Ouedraogo's on the pitch, I'm going to be watching a player like him. We haven't had a player like that for a while, of that kind of absolute ilk.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you're going back to Ben Arfa days for kind of that type of player, really. But I just think it just makes so much sense to me. But to get 2 players out of Red Bull Leipzig is going to be a big ask. But that's where I am.
Ask.
That's what I would do in Football Manager. But the other thing is, if you're Wissa or Voltemade or Barnes or, you know, whoever, you're going to be like, right, this guy can create chances for me. Get this guy, and if you're Bamba, if you're you know, fucking Ramsey or if you're Miley, this is a guy you're going to want to give the ball to because he can make things happen. And that's what we need at that part of the pitch. Because again, Baltimadi is not that. And Ramsey should be that. Ramsey, like for me, this is a big season for Ramsey in terms of his career trajectory.
It's do or die for him at Newcastle this season. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
Like just in terms of where his career is going, right? Because he was the guy at Aston Villa there 2 seasons ago, and he was phenomenal. I had him in my FPL team, and he was banging in goals and assists, and he was a real threat. I think Morgan Rogers coming in kind of stole his thunder because Rogers is just a better player. And Ramsey never really recovered from that. But like, we need someone like him to step up massively this season and go, right, I'm going to be the man. I want the ball. I'm shouting instructions at lads, and we want lads to respond to that. Whether he's that type of guy, I don't know. But we need a big season out of Ramsey as well.
Absolutely do. But not only Ramsey, we're talking about holding midfielder. Why can't Lewis Miley do that job for us? And we don't need to bring
because he's probably into playing fucking right
back. That's the other side of the coin, yeah. But no, I do think Miley and Ramsey have to have massive seasons this year. It's Ramsey more so. Miley has time on his side. Ramsey kind of doesn't. It's really do or die from now this season, where you go, you're either a top quality Premier League central midfield, attacking midfield, or whatever you want to call yourself, or you're not. Yeah, you're not.
Simply, you're not. Yeah.
Do or die.
Yeah. Who would you put if you had your big pile of cash there that's just off screen? His money pyramid is just on the other side of the camera. Where would you be spending the cash in a player like that?
Peter Sukic off of Inter.
Okay.
For Tazy Link or at the start of the year. Is he gone? Is he? Who did he go to?
He's gone to Lazio.
What? I'm actually devastated.
Davide Fratesi has gone to Lazio today. It's all nonsense.
That's bullshit. That would have been a nice
sign. The world of football. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
I believe he's gone to Lazio. As far as I know, I think so.
Yeah. We're kind of stuck now for players. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
That's kind of throwing me for a loop. The Bergvall links, I do think, will come back once those 45 days are gone between us and Tottenham for the signing of Tonali.
That's
if it's less than £45 million, I'm okay with it. Yeah. Because he is a very talented footballer.
But he's only 1 season in, and like, he was in a shit Tottenham team, and he did well at spells, but there was times where he didn't play well and he was subbed off or he was dropped. So again, I just don't think we should be roped into spending a holy fortune on. I don't think it's warranted for a player like that. Right, before we move on, just other names we haven't mentioned that are rumored when we check out NUFC.com that kind of tracks some of the rumors. Felix Nemecha is one that has divided the fan base, I think, because he's just not a good dude, I believe.
He's a horrible human.
But he did score against us when we played Dortmund in the Champions League.
Not just for that reason, unfortunately.
No.
I just think he'd be too expensive. Why would we spend €100 million, so £85 million on him?
Yeah, he's not worth it. I was excited about that guy Manu Kone is a phenomenal player, and he was deadly at the World Cup. I think he's way out of our reach. I think he was within our reach in the last 2 years, but he's definitely way out of it now. But if nobody else goes for him, and we get towards the end of the window, and if we have a bit of cash, like, you could take
throw 60 million at them and go, there you go.
Cash up front.
Yeah.
Add-ons, etc. That would be interesting. You got this guy Musa at Feyenoord as well. Again, he's a young player. Tyler Adams,
he's a winger.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Tyler Adams is an Eddie Howe player, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's just City Link.
Okay, so we reckon right back is the most important. We've talked about 2 midfielders. If there was to be one more addition, and the reason for me for this is, if Elanga isn't going to cut the mustard, and it doesn't look like he is even in pre-season, and we can't go another season with Jacob Murphy being our first choice right winger. Sorry, Jacob, no offense, but dude, it's not. It's just can't. We need a winger.
Yes.
We have Basu Toure there, right? And he can play on either side, I believe.
Yes.
So young, so raw, shouldn't be looked to as the answer. Harvey Barnes currently is our only goal threat, but he's a moments player as far as I'm concerned. isn't someone who you're going to say, right, over the next 15 games, he's going to get 7 goals. I just don't see that enough with Harvey Barnes. Granted, sometimes it's within a poor performing team at Newcastle, but I still feel like we need somebody a little bit more at the next level in terms of experience and quality than what we have on the wings. Someone who could play on both. The best comparison I have, and I'm not even saying that we should go for a player like this, he's way out of reach, but in terms of a comparison, somebody like Noni Madueke, who can play both sides, who is clearly quality, had a really good World Cup for England. He didn't do great at Chelsea, but like he basically pushed Saka out of the England team and to a point out of the Arsenal team. The Arsenal listeners of this podcast, their ears just perked up because 40 minutes in, they finally got a mention. But somebody who's versatile like that, but just to be honest, is an absolute threat. Isn't just your direct run to the byline and cross the ball winger, isn't just only cut inside, just offers you that quality level, is like a proper creative, attacking, explosive winger forward that can ultimately, for me, contribute goals and assists. And I think we're short still there.
Definitely are. And you said Madueke, and someone we were linked to earlier in the window kind of just has that vibe off him, and it's your man Abde El Zalzouli. Betis, I think it is he's playing for.
Who, by the way, beat Arsenal in a friendly in Croke Park, and our loyal Arsenal listeners were there. Oh, it's tough, lads. Sorry about that.
So was someone else.
Moving on. Brother's an Arsenal fan. We'll let you have that one. Yeah. We'll let you have that one. He would be very interesting. He can also play on both sides. Now he's predominantly a left winger, I'm fairly sure. But from the highlight reels when we were linked to him earlier in the window, he looked very, very good. So he'd be someone interesting. And then you also have, as you were talking earlier, Anis Haji Musa, who looks very, very good as well. But the other thing about them, I seen earlier today that Feyenoord need to raise 60 million euros by the end of the transfer window. Well, we could help them do that.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. We could just say, there's your 35 million. Now you can go sell someone else for 30 million.
You go, done with it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we move in this area of the pitch, because again, at board level or whoever, they could look at it and go, well, we got you a 55 million winger in Anthony Elanga. We've got you a 40 million winger in Basu Toure. You've got Harvey Barnes. I'm sure Jacob Murphy can slide in there. I just think that right-hand side is a problem currently.
It is.
I'll go back to Ethan Nwaneri again here. I just feel like this guy, like he's down the pecking order at Arsenal. I know he went on loan to Marseille. He did all right for a while and then he kind of tapered off, but this guy just needs to be unleashed, I feel, and be told you're the guy.
I have said to my brother and to one of my other mates who's an Arsenal fan, I'd love him on loan.
Yeah, we said this ourselves. Remember, we've done this twice probably on this podcast. Like, get that guy, just give that guy some proper football and tell him he's the main guy. And he's not going to get ahead of Saka or Madueke again this season. So why hang on to him? He's still, 18? Is he? 18, 19 maybe?
They'll have Max Dowman coming in behind him again, so I don't think he's going to get in at all.
He needs to get out of there, and we probably can't sign him for 45 days, as is this whole ruling situation with that. But
loan
like you mentioned, alone there, and look, just seeing as the Arsenal fans are listening and they're clinging desperately onto all our words, Alan. Sure, I talked about let's just try and get 2 players out of Red Bull Leipzig. I mean, why don't we just go and try and get Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly out of Arsenal? Skelly would solve so much of our problems in terms of that left-back cover and having that midfield option to come in, and he would actually start probably ahead of Joe Linton.
Absolutely.
Not crazy.
50 million quid for them. It's not outrageous money. Like, I don't
think so. I don't think it's outrageous money.
Definitely be happy, And as you said, he'd start straight away. He walks straight into the team.
There are players out there, lads. I mean, look, dealing with Arsenal is always going to be a tricky one, but we just sold them Bruno Guimaraes, but they don't need the cash. But sometimes I just wonder with someone like Nwaneri, I just don't know why his people aren't really pushing the agenda. Like, what's my future here? Unless he's being told he has a clear future here. But you just said it. Max Dowman is probably already ahead of him in the pecking order because Max Dowman is a generational talent. one area was a generational talent, and was at one point their youngest ever goal scorer. Give him a season in the Premier League with someone. Why not us? We're not a rival. We're not going to be competing with Arsenal this season. So to me, and this isn't me saying Arsenal let him go. Oh, free 1 year. No, sorry lads, that's only the Arsenal fans that do that.
Yeah,
weirdos. But just he needs. I'm like, this guy needs to go out and be the first choice winger in a Premier League team, and let's see what he can do, because he's shown he can do it at times, and he's someone I think that would be within reason or realistic for us to go after. As things stand, Arsenal might feel different. Right. There's no way we're signing a striker.
No, but we were linked to Luis Suarez from Sporting again today.
The other one.
Yeah, the non-bitey one.
The less bitey one. Fair play to him.
Canal Plus were saying that we're close to him for 55 million euro. It's just not happening. It's
random.
Yeah, we're too easily linked to players. That's
we're the super agent's dream, and we're the Fabrizio Romano's dream, because it's believable for us to be linked with everyone, because number one, we're desperate for players, and number two, we have money. Therefore that carries clout. So of course you can link us with everyone. Like, that's believable. And the range of players we can be linked with still is quite high.
Oh yeah. We could be linked with someone out of a League One side and be linked with someone from a Champions League side, and it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that we sign both of them here. What are we doing?
So like I said, it's a dream. So as we said, folks, the hope here is that all of this, while me and Alan are talking about it out loud on the podcast, you'd hope that there's a lot of good things happening behind the scenes. I think nobody is even questioning the fact that we need signings in.
No.
The club know that, the board know that, Ross Wilson knows that. That's literally their jobs, not to get Roy Keane on it, but like, that's what they're doing. And my only hope here is, like, we're 2 weeks into August, and this website list on NUFC.com, I've never seen it so small in the middle of a month. Normally it's got about 25 names on it. There's 11. And Højbjerg is one of them. And for some reason, Jacob Murphy is listed as a rumor transfer in from Everton. So maybe he already moved and we want him back. Who knew?
Would you be surprised?
Anything to surprise you now. But the point is, I think that I think that when we do make a relatively big signing, and I think it's impending quickly, whatever about Dedic, because that's commonly known, I still think we've probably got one, if not two, fairly decent, sizable signings that are going to come out of the blue here. And I'm all for it, because it just brings you back to finding out Newcastle signed a player on feckin' Teletext or Airtel or the newspaper the following day.
Saturday morning double deal. And what we saying? Dedic in and someone else Saturday morning about 11 o'clock would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be interesting to see indeed. Right, before we finish, Alan, Nick Pope gone, surely. Where's he going?
Celtic for the memes.
Pope number one.
Yeah. Celtic are whole. Come here. Got the shells for all I really care. If you know,
he was linked with Wolves as well, which is interesting, with Trippier there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like he was a great servant for us, and arguably, him staying last year hurt his career more than anything else, and that's all that's happened there.
Time will tell, I suppose. I mean, obviously, with Trafford having now finally moved.
Yes.
Why aren't Burnley all? I don't know why Burnley aren't all over this, unless they're also of the opinion, look, we need someone who's better with his feet and is, more progressive and blah blah blah. So that'll be interesting to see. Do you think anybody else will leave before the window closes? See Joe Willock.
Yeah, Joe Willock will go. I seen Besiktas today for 20 million euro. If we can get 20 million euro for him,
they just signed Vlahovic, didn't they?
Did it happen? I heard they gave him a final.
I believe we're at Here We Go for it, but I could be wrong because I was playing a match, so I didn't really.
That Vlahovic lad is the biggest money laundering scam gone. He's the new Morata. That's all he is.
Yeah. They were talking about. I was listening to Football Cliches. Really good podcast, by the way, folks. If you're looking for a pod, but Adam Hurry, the guy who hosts, was like, I don't remember anyone ever talking about Dusan Vlahovic as a footballer. More just as a transfer story.
A transfer, yeah.
He's just always linked with moves, but it never gets talked about having scored some particular goals or done something notable on the pitch.
My argument for him is always Alexander Mitrovic started for Serbia ahead of him. So
there we go.
Yeah.
Is that a late plea to bring back Alexander Mitrovic?
I loved that man. He was a psychopath, and he was my favorite. It was brilliant.
It's a funny one. One of those players that, I mean, he was decent for us, particularly in the Championship, but as soon as he moved to Fulham, he just became a much better striker.
I remember we were playing Fulham at home in the Championship, and I was buzzing to see him play, and he did. Daryl Murphy played. We lost 3-1. Daryl Murphy scored.
Murphy.
Yeah. It was the first time I was ever disappointed to see an Irishman score for Newcastle, because I wanted Mitrovic to play, and I just didn't get to see my wish.
Mitrovic, the one guy you don't want to meet on a dark alley, because he just looks like he'd kill you stone dead. He probably would too. Right. Well, on that grim note, Mitro, we're sorry. We love you. You're welcome back anytime. That brings episode 134 to a close. We are in full preseason mode. Season is starting, as we said, in 10 days. We already have confirmed our first group of meetups, Alan, for the Liverpool game. We'll go into more detail on those next week. It has been announced, but we have 3 meetups, I believe, for Liverpool. Locations being Dublin, Cork, and another.
I think it is. Yes.
Sligo, yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Although they're also having one for Spurs, so we might we'll verify that next week, because we didn't prepare for it this week. But the meetups are coming thick and strong. We have a big Galway meetup as well for the Bournemouth game, so it's all happening, all kicking off. That'll all be updated on the irishmags.com website in the coming days, so make sure you're keeping an eye on all that, as well as all of our socials in the links below. That brings us to the end of the show. Alan, do you miss Chris Show?
Always
miss Chris Show. Chris Show may be back for more Irish Magnus next week, as will we. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, tuning in, for watching. We'll see you all hopefully next week after what's going to be a thrilling Visit Malta weekend for Newcastle United. Hopefully bounce back with a couple of wins. We'll be back next week to talk about it, as always. Away the lads. Slán go fóill, and we'll see you all.